welcome to my place. My name is Goody, co-founder of that little snack that you didn't know you were waiting for, that little cookie in the bag. Goody's granola. You got to try it. Little cookie in the bag. Today we have something special going on. I know a lot of people want to know how to buy a guitar. They want to learn how to play it. They want to know how to buy it. And I have a guitar expert with us. I met this young lady at Sam Ash. Her name is KAT Burroww. And I'd like to introduce KAT to all you folks. And KAT, say hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, Goody. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Now, what I'd like to do as we get started is get a little background on you to show your qualifications on how you know what to sell people.
Sure.
And let's start off where you're from.
I'm from North Carolina originally, but I've lived in Brooklyn for going on 8 years now. And I've worked at Sam Ash almost the entire time that I've lived here. I'm a classical guitarist by trade. So I studied classical guitar all through college and a little bit beyond. I've been playing guitar my entire life.
No kidding. Wow.
I come from a whole family of musicians, a long line of musicians on my dad's side. And my dad is one of the best guitarists that I know. So he was my first teacher. I went on to take some private lessons after that. I took a brief hiatus from playing guitar from like middle school to high school where I started singing. So I did a lot of choral music and traveled around. And,
wow.
Yep.
That I didn't know.
Yep. For a long time. So I was a singer and that got me into college. And then when I was in college, I actually had a little vocal injury and I had to stop singing, but I had a music scholarship. So they said, what are you going to play? And I was like, well, I've been playing guitar for a long time. It's just been a while. And I picked it back up. And that's when I started studying classical guitar and fell in love with it all over again.
Have you taught? Did you teach at all?
I taught a little bit in college, just as a side hustle to make some money. But I'll be honest, I'm not very good at it. I don't quite have the
think you'd be
patience
fantastic at it. I mean, you just got this great personality. You're very personable. I think you'd be fantastic at it.
I appreciate it.
Well,
yeah, I did a few lessons in college and I taught a little bit when I first moved here just to make, some rent money, but it's not something that I regularly do. I really prefer the experience of selling guitars. And I do some freelance guitar tech work. So some guitar repair.
You're doing that now?
Mm-hmm. Wow, yeah. I've been doing it for the past few years. So that's really what I enjoy the most. I love having that interaction with people and getting them what they need. So I love sales. I love music sales, guitar sales. I really love it. And guitar repair. Well, it's mostly what I do now.
How I met KAT, by the way, is I went into Sam Ash during the pandemic, I believe.
Yeah, came into my store.
And she actually sold me a guitar and she knew everything about this stuff. When someone comes in and they say, KAT, I'd like to buy a guitar, what's one of the first questions you would ask?
So it depends on the person, how old they are, what kind of energy they bring in. Some people come in and they know exactly what they want to buy. Most people don't, though, which is great because that's what I'm there for.
Well, let me just ask you, do you ask them and say, have you played before? Are you a beginner?
Yeah. So I'm always going to ask people what they already have, what they already own. I'm going to ask people maybe what their goals are. So do you want to play guitar for fun? Do you want to learn how to shred? Do you want to just, play chords and sing along with your friends? So what are your guitar goals? And then I'm always going to ask people what kind of music they like and what kind of music they want to play.
I'd interrupt you for 1 second. Yeah. Why did shred?
What? Like for guitarists who want to play really fast, smooth, quick licks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. No.
Not my forte, but some people,
cool.
they want to be like total metal shredders.
I'm sure people don't know what shredding is. It's the only thing I know how to shred is maybe cabbage or whatever, but I never knew that's what it was like on the guitar. Now, people ask you, I'm a beginner. I want to do nylon. I want to do steel strings, but I want to play rock and roll.
Right.
What do you tell them?
So I have this conversation with every single customer that comes into the store that's looking to buy their first guitar, which is why the question is so important of what kind of music do you like and what kind of music do you want to play? There is a huge myth, I don't know where it came from, that everyone should start with a classical guitar or a nylon string guitar because it's easier on your fingers. It's easier to play, it's more comfortable, and it's just not true.
Well, nylon strictly a classical instrument?
Yeah, we call a nylon string guitar a classical guitar. There are a few things that make a classical guitar, but the three things that really identify classical guitar are the body shape, the strings, which are nylon core strings, and the shape and size of the neck. So a classical guitar actually has a wider neck and a thicker neck as well. So while the strings are softer on your fingers, it's actually, you have to press down harder to play. Okay. So it's not necessarily true that it's easier to play. It also is going to have a really mellow, rich sound. It's not going to project quite as loud as other guitars as well. So I always ask people that question because if you want to play classical music or folk music, or maybe learn in a more traditional way, where you're learning scales and then chords, and maybe you have a teacher that's going to show you kind of a classical training, or, train you classically.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Classical guitar is great. But if you want to play pop music, or you want to play rock music, or you want to play R&B, that guitar is never going to sound like you want it to sound. So that's why that question is so important. So, for example, with classical guitar, that's great for you if you want to play classical music. I ask people, if you want to play more pop music, you can play any kind of music on an acoustic steel string guitar as well. But if you want to play rock and roll music, if you're really interested in all these different guitar effects and kind of dirtier guitar sounds, I say go straight to an electric guitar. My first guitar was an electric guitar, and I turned out fine. So, yeah, you should always try to play the kind of music that you want to play because that's what's going to keep you motivated to play.
Well, let's go
There's
through
no right or wrong way.
A little process, if there is one. I know I used to sell cars, and there's a proper way to buy a car. You got to qualify people, what you're looking for, a 2-door, 4-door. You're looking for 6 strings, 12 strings. You're looking for electric. Give me a little, I guess you would call it a qualifying thing that you would ask people.
Sure. So I'm going to ask them all the questions we just talked about, right? So what kind of music you like, what you want to play. I also love to ask people, because it's 2023, I'd like to ask people if they've been looking at anything online, if there are any artists that they're really obsessed with, or if they've already looked into some guitars that they've seen online that they really like for whatever reason, and then ask them why. Then what I really like to do for every beginner is to give them at least 3 or 4 different things to try. Different shapes, different sizes, different woods,
that was my
combinations. Yeah, because you never know what you're going to like. You may have seen something online that you're like, oh, that looks awesome. That's really cool. I like the sound of it. But then they pick it up and they try it out, or they try it on, and it's not comfortable for them for whatever reason. So guitars come in so many different shapes and sizes and combinations of pickups and wood, and it all counts. So you got to try some things on. You know,
it's like buying a pair of shoes. To see what fits.
100%.
But if a guy is just starting off on this project in life, and they're looking to spend a ton of money, would you recommend that? I mean, do you want to get the sale, or you're looking maybe to help the person and say, start off with something smaller, see if you like it. Well, not small, a little more inexpensive. See how you like it, see how long you stick with it.
Sure.
I guess that's
a great question.
Yeah, it's part of the process.
Yeah. It really depends on the person. I think for kids or for younger folks, I mean, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to get a decent guitar. You do, however, a lot of people come into it, especially parents come into it not knowing what to spend. I would say you should budget between $200 and $300 on a basic, inexpensive guitar, because that gives you room to buy a decent guitar, the best bang for your buck guitar, which I have plenty I can recommend. There's a good guitar in every budget. You know what I mean? And you could also get a case for it and whatever kind of tools you need to maintain it. That's what you need to do. For folks that come in either wanting to spend a lot of money, or they're a little bit more mature, maybe they're a little bit older, there's nothing wrong with having a first guitar that's a really good guitar.
No, it's great.
You're more likely, you're not a kid, Goody. So when you bought a guitar, I wasn't concerned about how you were going to maintain it, or because, I taught you how to maintain it. I showed you what you needed to do.
No, but I have the same problem, though, as far as motivation. I started playing the guitar, and I was doing it for a while, and all of a sudden I wasn't just practicing, I was playing the guitar. It's like the first time my wife and I took dance lessons, and we're sitting there dancing, but we finally danced where we were in tune with each other. And that's what happened with the guitar. All of a sudden, I wasn't looking at my fingers, and I just played, and it was like a fantastic experience. And it was so great, I didn't do it like for 6 weeks after that. So I had to start the whole process over again. I had to get you two can play the guitar volume 1 and start off with the scales and all of this stuff. But it's like exercising. If you stop doing it, you fall backwards.
Yeah, I mean,
well, my fingers, the calluses were gone. I mean, I had to do that again. But do you recommend lessons, private lessons, or do you recommend videos to people?
Sure. So I also have this conversation with every single new guitar player that I meet in the store. So I say you learn how you learn best. So if you're usually a person, think of when you were a student or whatever you're trying to learn now outside of music. So are you a YouTube guy? Do you like to watch videos? Is that how you learn best? Are you someone who wants to get a bunch of books and read books? Are you more of a tactile learner? It depends on how you learn best. Some people learn best by watching. Some people learn best by books. I personally, even though I've been playing guitar for 25 plus years, when I want to learn something new, I have to have somebody show me. I need somebody, for one, holding me accountable. And also, I think just the interaction, the engagement helps me learn better. So however you learn best is how you should learn. However, I'll say, for any beginner, I recommend getting a teacher, even if it's just someone to help you get jump started. I think hiring a teacher, even for like, let's say 3 to 5 lessons to get you started, is the best way to get started and for things to stick. Because when you're learning guitar for the first time, there's a lot you don't think about having to learn, like having to tune the guitar, all the different guitar parts, different things like that you do have to do in order to play for a long time, to have the longevity of it. So I recommend a teacher to get you started.
Well, I agree with you on that.
But you don't have to do it forever.
No, but I agree with you on that for the simple fact that when I was younger, I played the accordion.
Did you really?
Yeah, I played the accordion.
We've never had this conversation.
I used to go to my grandmother's grandparents' house. They used to live in back of a dry cleaner that they have in Coney Island. And I used to play the accordion for them every Sunday. Way. But what I know is that when you have a private teacher and you know they're coming like every Tuesday, you got to practice that thing.
You have to prepare for your lesson.
Yeah, or else you're paying for it, or your parents are paying for it. And if you don't practice, you're making a fool of yourself. Not a fool of yourself, but you're just not doing the work. Then it probably doesn't pay to even take the lessons. Right. So I agree with I think lessons are very,
the
very
best way
important.
To get started.
Personal attention is great.
I think, though, to tag on to what you just said, though, I think, of course, practice is extremely important. I think a big mistake that a lot of beginners make, and I think a lot of beginners' parents make, is the forced practice. Practice is important. It's the only way you learn, but it has everything to do about your goals. It has everything to do with your goals. So if your goal, again, is to play guitar for pure enjoyment, then there's no need for you to force yourself to sit down and cram this stuff into your brain.
Well, it's different if you want to make a profession at it.
Right, yeah. If you want to, again, it just depends on what your goals are. Now, if you're a student and let's say you need to learn pieces because you're auditioning for a group or you're auditioning for a school, that's different, right? Then you have to sit down and make yourself practice and set times and work it into your schedule. But I think if you force yourself to do it when you're not wanting to do it,
then maybe you shouldn't be playing. If you're forced,
it's not as fun.
If you're forcing yourself to go to the gym, usually you don't go. I know there were times that the hardest part of me practicing, or even now with the guitar, is get the guitar out of the case, shut the TV off. I was
going to mention that too, yeah.
And tune the guitar. But once you start, it's like I used to write for a local paper, and the hardest part was getting those first sentences out. But once those sentences come out, it flows like water. And that's what happens with when I play the guitar
Mm-hmm.
now, even if I have to start over, you've kind of everything gets pushed aside. So I think it's very you got to practice.
Yeah,
There's no
100%.
question about that.
So, and it was I was going to mention that as well. So, how to keep motivated on top of everything we just talked about. So, yeah, everyone's different. It's not a one size fits all. I'm not pro forced practice for beginners anyway. I think the best thing you can do, and something that I do and have done for years, is to have guitar hangers and guitar stands everywhere so that I have my guitars out visually so that I'm more likely to see it and go, man, I love my guitar. It's so beautiful. I should pick it up and play it.
Okay, listen,
And
what I want to do, I know it's what you say, but you have a couple of guitars here.
mm-hmm.
I'd like you to show them
Sure.
the guitars. Talk about maintenance. People think that once you buy a guitar, there's maybe that much not maintenance.
Yes.
So it's very important. It's like a car, man. If you let the oil run out, it's gone. Like you even pointed out that my guitar is warping a little bit on the body, so I have to
Got
get
a little dry. Got to humidify.
I have to get my humidify a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like you to start off with maybe the classical guitar.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I have that
Let's
on
look at
this
some
side.
guitars. Oh, you have it on this side. Great.
I have it on this side here.
I think this is a great opportunity too to mention. There's nothing wrong with buying guitars online, right? But for beginners, I do recommend doing it in person because different guitars need different kinds of maintenance. And it has everything to do from the kind of guitar you buy to where you live. So we live in New York City where it's super cold and super dry from like November to March.
Right, absolutely.
Right? So if you have an acoustic guitar or, a hollow body guitar, you need to be humidifying it. And fun fact, a lot of manufacturers, if you don't humidify, they consider it negligence and you void the manufacturer warranty.
Yeah,
so it's really important to have that one-on-one time with somebody who can show you what kind of maintenance your guitar needs, right? So again, nothing wrong with shopping online, but for your first guitar, go talk to somebody.
I like the personal touch. I like to get a salesman.
I'm biased, but I do too.
And just bother the shit out of them after I buy it, and they go, oh my God, he's here again.
Yeah, so this is the classical guitar, which is what I was telling you before. So the body shape is one part of what makes it a classical guitar.
Beautiful guitar, by the way.
It's a beautiful guitar, isn't it?
Pretty.
This is the Yamaha Trans Acoustic. I think it's one of the coolest guitars on the market right now. I'm really obsessed with this thing. Yeah, so the body shape, also, as you can see, compared to this guitar, which is an acoustic steel string guitar, the nut width is much wider. So the nut width is much wider, and the neck is also wider and a little bit fatter. So again, it's a little bit harder to press down and play, actually.
Is there a reason for that?
Yes. So for classical playing, typically you're playing more individual notes.
Beautiful.
So you're playing more individual notes.
There you go. Look at you.
As opposed to more chords and clusters like you do on other guitars.
Okay.
So the classical style, you're doing more individual note playing. So the neck is wider, so the strings are spaced out a little bit further. It's just it keeps you stay out of your own way.
Can you shred on that guitar?
I'm not a shredder at all.
But you can shred on that?
Oh, sure.
That's a new word I'm trying to get. I'm trying to use the new word.
Everyday.
Shredding.
So that's a classical guitar. And then we have...
Well, no. I want to get back to this thing real quick. This is something I've never seen before because it actually turns into an electric guitar without using an amp.
It's really, really cool.
I mean, talk about that.
I feel like a Yamaha rep right now, but I do love Yamaha guitars.
No, talk about that.
The Trans Acoustic. I don't know too much about the inside mechanism, I'm not going to lie. But the Trans Acoustic, it has built-in chorus and reverb without it being plugged in. So it has a little motherboard situation inside. Don't quote me on that.
Well, is it run on batteries?
Yeah, so it's battery powered. It takes 2 AA batteries. You just hold and press button. And then give it a second. Yep. So you can turn the chorus all the way up. Turn the chorus off and just get a couple of different reverbs.
sounds beautiful.
Sounds great. Feels great.
I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn how to pick now.
It's
yeah,
so
it's
cool.
great. I love it. Cool. It's just awesome.
Big fan of the Yamaha Trans Acoustic. This is the obviously the Trans Acoustic Classical. They make this in a steel string as well, in a couple different body shapes. But
okay,
love it. Big Yamaha fan. And then I sold you a Yamaha too. And yours is, the APX 600.
Well,
so
mine is a Yamaha, too.
I sell a ton of these to beginners, too, because they're super affordable. I think this guitar, I don't know exactly the prices. I should have thought about that. But it's somewhere around $300. And all Yamahas, they last
This
forever.
is the guitar that she actually sold me.
Yeah. So this guitar, again, it's going to be more versatile. It has steel strings, so it's going to be a little bit louder and project a little bit more than that one. And also, it's made out of different wood that's also going to contribute to volume and sustain. So this one's, I believe, spruce with mahogany. So this one is going to have a lot more volume. But yeah, steel string.
I don't sound like that, by the way, when I play.
Or super versatile, you can play. You can play jazz on it if you want to.
Oh, man. See, now I'm going to start practicing.
Yeah. Come on, Goody. Sit yourself down. But you can play rock on it as well. You can play whatever you want on this thing. And it's going to sound a little bit more true to tone. A lot of, singer-songwriters are traditionally going to use a
sometimes I play nothing.
Sometimes you play nothing. I bet you still
it sounds great.
Yeah. And then I brought a really special electric guitar. Thanks for letting me bring it and show it off too.
No, thank you for bringing it. And this is something that your dad made.
He sure did. Yeah, so this is beautiful. KAT Custom Guitars, which is my dad's company. If I bonked every guitar on the table so far, Goody, I think it's good luck. But yeah, this is a really beautiful.
Your dad has a guitar company?
Yeah, KAT Custom Guitars.
Really? He's online?
Yeah, he's on Instagram, and we have a Reverb page as well that I help him manage.
I gotta check it out.
But he makes everything by hand, absolutely everything. So the neck is made by hand, the body's cut and made by hand. Actually, bought this piece of ash in the Bronx and sent it to him.
You're gonna plug that in?
Yeah, I'm gonna plug it in and show you.
Beautiful, I love it.
And again, so if you want to play rock music and you're a beginner, you can get a good beginner electric guitar for the same thing, $200 ish.
Oh, that's the amp.
You do typically have to buy. That's the only thing that turns people off about buying an electric guitar first, is that you need to buy an amplifier with it.
Well, that's why I bought that guitar.
Yeah.
You can do both with that.
You can, and which I totally get. But honestly, you can buy a good amp for a good beginner practice amp for between $75 and $150.
That's a beauty. Very nice.
So if you want to play rock music, and that's all you want to play, and you're not going to be happy with anything else, so don't buy an acoustic guitar.
Okay.
Just buy an electric guitar. Because if you buy a guitar that doesn't, it's not going to sound like you want it to sound, it's not going to sound like your favorite music and the music you want to play, you're really not going to be motivated to stick with it. That is the biggest mistake I find with beginners, buying acoustic guitars, and they want to rock.
Oh, okay. I hear you.
There's no wrong way.
Well, I see a lot, when I walk into Sam Ash, I see a lot of people trading in their guitars.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. This is your little practice amp. Right here. If you want.
See, you can play all of this stuff. I mean, it's like you're very versed.
A master of none, I am.
Well, no, I think you're not giving yourself enough credit, actually. You're being very modest.
Thank you, Goody. But yeah, buying the right guitar, finding a guitar that suits your needs is the best thing you can do to keep yourself motivated and keep yourself playing from the start.
One of the last things I want to talk about is maintenance. And I know you know a lot about maintenance.
It's my favorite subject.
So we're going to do that, and and hopefully then you're going to sign my wall, by the way.
Okay, I would love to.
Okay.
Guitar maintenance. So absolutely all guitars need regular maintenance. So it doesn't matter if you buy a guitar for $100 or a guitar for $100,000. All guitars need the same routine maintenance. In most modern guitars, there's a steel rod that runs through the neck of the guitar that helps maintain neck straightness. Okay, and you can see if you look inside the hole there. So guitars need to be restrung regularly. Strings usually last you between 3 and 5 months, depending on what kind of strings you get. Sometimes you can push them a little longer, but you should change your strings about every 3 to 5 months. Goody.
Now I got to come in and get my
you do.
thing serviced.
I'll come over and take care of it. So the guitars need to be restrung regularly. One, because strings, they just don't last forever. They die, they get rusty. A great way to tell that it's time for new strings, there's a couple ways to tell. One, they start to look a little bit dark. So if you see your strings are a little bit, they're starting to blacken a little bit.
I haven't changed them maybe in a year.
Yeah, that's too long, buddy.
Okay, well, I'm learning right now. I'm learning about maintenance.
Excellent. Also, you see, sometimes they won't look all dark, but they'll start to get dark spots. Those are usually breaking points where they oxidize. Another good way to tell, I know this is kind of funny, but after you play guitar, your hands kind of smell like pennies, like change, it's a good sign that the strings are oxidizing. It's time to change your strings. It kind of smells like, you know what I'm saying? That's a good way to tell. But also, it's good to give your guitar a break from the tension. Strings have hundreds of pounds of pressure. So it's good to take the strings off. That way it gives your guitar a few minutes or however long the strings are off. Not too long, but you know what I mean. It gives it a little break. It's a great way to identify issues as well. Some people will bring their guitar in and say, well, I haven't played it in 10 years and it's fine. It's not. I'd take the strings off and pieces and parts go flying because it's being held together by tension. So it's good to take the strings off, tighten up all the parts, adjust the neck, clean it up, put new strings back on it. And that whole process is what we call a setup. So that includes, intonation, restring, neck adjustments, tightening and cleaning, stuff like that. So a routine maintenance check. All guitars need it.
This guitar kind of bowing on the body a little bit.
Yeah, this one is
okay. Is there any way maybe
bloated.
we can get that will that pick up on the camera?
I don't think it's very subtle. I don't think you can get it on the camera. Also, they wouldn't, not
trying to but anyway, I stopped humidifying this guitar and it is starting to bow on the body.
Yeah, it's a little bloated.
That's one of the things you got to remember. Mm-hmm. Especially living in New York.
Let me tell you about humidification real quick if I could. So especially if you live in dry climates, like New York City, when it's cold and dry in the winter months, you should keep your guitar in a case or a bag with a humidifier all the time. So if you're putting your jacket on, it's jacket season, the guitar needs to be put in its jacket.
Hear you. Okay.
You can get a humidifier that it's pretty much like a sponge in a box that you can wet and put in the sound hole. And then Diodario makes one of my favorite things, which is the Humidipack system, where it comes with these jelly humidifier packs. You just put it in the case and set it and forget it, and it takes care of itself.
It's this long, like tube that fits in here, and it covers this whole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is there a technical term for this thing, or just a hole?
The sound hole.
Okay. Yeah. That's the technical word. Technical term is the sound hole. It's a sound hole.
Yeah. That's a great product too. You can get those, it's like a sponge. It's a noodle.
Yeah,
you soak it and you put it in there. That works fine. There's no wrong way to do it. Just do it.
I'm just telling you what I have. It's just there's different types of things that people could use.
Absolutely. But if you don't, what happens is wood it's organic material, even if it's finished and glossed. So if it gets cold, it's going to shrink up, and that's going to cause pieces and parts to fall off. Or in this case with your guitar, it got dry. And so as the wood is shrinking, the bridge is trying to pull the top up with it. And that's why this is bloated.
I got a question for you that a friend of mine asked, and I know we talked about this before we started. But he made a statement and said, don't buy it until you know how to play it. And I said, well, it's not a question, it's a real statement. But then I thought about it, and I said, well, maybe you could rent it and then see if you want to play it and then buy it. And your answer to that was...
No, it depends on the instrument. So just for guitar, if you're learning a different instrument, you can rent. You can definitely rent some instruments. For guitars, there may be, but I don't know of any places where you can rent a guitar long term like that. But honestly, you should buy. You don't have to break the bank, but you should buy a guitar.
Well, you figure
you connect with it. You spend a lot of time with it. You sleep with it. You know what I mean? You wake up to it. You should have the time to connect with your guitar. It should be yours. Well, and if you ever want to trade it or sell it, you could do that.
Yeah, but by the time you rent it, By the time you know how to play it and you keep renting it, you could probably bought a $2,000-3,000 guitar or something. Anyway, is there anything else that you think we should be talking about?
I think we covered most of it. I think you should always ask an expert and, go into a place that makes you feel excited and safe, like a good local music store, and ask lots of questions. I think you should try lots of guitars before you buy it. You should please get a case for it and a stand for it so you can keep it safe and sound and it doesn't fall over. And I think it's just, again, it doesn't matter how much the guitar costs. You need to maintain it. If you don't maintain it and you don't adjust the neck regularly and change the strings, it's not going to be comfortable to play. It's not going to sound good, and you're not going to want to play it.
Well, I remember
so take care of your guitar, and it'll take care of you. Is my motto.
You had told me also you don't stand it up against the wall.
Don't stand up against the wall.
Why not?
If it falls over, the headstock will break off.
Okay. I wanted you to say.
Yeah.
Anyway,
put it on a stand.
Kate has said you ask an expert, and what better expert can you ask than this young lady right here? If you're in Brooklyn or you're not in Brooklyn and you want the best education you can to buy a guitar, or probably any other instrument that Sam has, but she's a guitar expert. She works at Sam Ash on Flatbush Avenue by Kings Plaza, and her email is KAT Burrow, KBURROW at samash.com. Contact her. Is there a phone number at Sam Ash that they can call?
Yeah, you can call 718-951-3888 and ask to speak to any guitar expert there. I'm the sales manager there. I used to be the guitar manager and then the guitar sales. I have a wonderful team in every department, though. If you need questions about brass and wind, pro audio, guitars, just call us.
The team is great, but go right to the source. Go to see Kat. She has a great personality. She's very personable, and I want to thank you for being here. You were marvelous to talk to.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to help.
It's my pleasure. I thank you. The wall of.
You to sign the wall?
Pain, not shame.
Sweet.
Wall of pain. How you doing? Wall time. I want to thank my girl Kat. She's been terrific. You want to have somebody good? Please speak to Kat.
I appreciate it, Goody. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you over the past few years.
You make it easy.
You make it easy.
No, you don't make it easy.
Just sign on the wall?
Yeah. Put a date. Give me a date.
Oh, the date. What is today? The 3rd, right?
No, if not, it'll be there.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, it's been such a pleasure.
Okay, gotta give you the stage now. Downstage now. It's been great. Listen, please. You like guitars, you like music, practice.
It's never a bad time to play guitar. You're never too old to rock and roll.
It's great. Look at me. I'm doing it in my old age, and sometimes I actually play.
It's never a bad time to play guitar. I believe it.